And now we say, welcome home. Welcome home to proud men and women. We begin now to fulfill promises, to remember the past, to look to the future. We begin now to complete the final process, not to make political statements, not to offer explanations, and not to debate realities. Monuments are erected so that the future might remember the past. Warriors die and live and die. Let the historians answer the political questions. Those who served, served. Those who gave all live in our hearts. Those who are left continue to give. As long as we remember, there's still some love left.
This is the story of brotherhood as shared by more than 10 million Vietnam veterans. Although the Vietnam War has been over for a long time, the conflict continues in the hearts of many. These brave men and women returned home to a country that was at war with itself. Old wounds sometimes heal slowly, but for the 80,000 Vietnam veterans of Allegheny County in Pennsylvania, the healing process continues. This is a story of a group of veterans, leaders in their communities, who shared a dream of building a living monument in tribute to the Vietnam veterans in their community and giving these veterans the welcome home that has been long overdue. Though many monuments and memorials have been erected in recognition to these veterans, it is this particular story that truly defines the meaning of brotherhood.
Approximately 5 years ago, a small group of veterans got together. They thought it was about time and it was appropriate that the Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, western Pennsylvania, begin to somehow recognize the service of the Vietnam veterans. This original small group grew to an active body of 30 members. Represented on the committee are city, county, and federal government officials. Also represented are veterans from all walks of life. In 1984, a national design competition was held to select a fitting monument to remember the service of the Vietnam veterans. The theme of the competition was Welcome Home. The committee received over 160 inquiries for the competition. There were approximately 40 designs submitted, representing 14 states and every region of the United States. These entries range from designers with national reputations to local individuals with a concept. A blue ribbon committee from the Pittsburgh art community was selected to reduce the number of designs to the 6 finalists. The function of the blue ribbon committee was to ensure that the final selection would represent designs of substance and quality. The winning entry was selected by an overwhelming vote of all the designs submitted. The winning design most clearly represented the theme, Welcome Home. Mr. John Middleton and Mr. Ed Dumont, both from Allegheny County, submitted the first place design. Mr. George Danhars, a competent and recognized local sculptor, was commissioned to sculpt, cast, and erect the statues. Mr. Ron Bennett was commissioned to oversee the design, modification, construction, and fabrication of the shell of the seat pod covering for the monument. Mr. Bennett, an accomplished sculptor in his own right, additionally designed and fabricated the wind chimes to be contained within the shell. Our committee was very fortunate to have commissioned the services of these talented artists.
Our design for the monument was based on the program which was given to us by the Vietnam Veterans Committee and the theme Welcome Home. This monument is unique in that it doesn't focus on the war itself, but focuses on the changes in the change in a soldier's life when he returns home and is welcomed by his family and his community. The overall design of the monument, the outer shell of the monument, is based on a hibiscus seed pod. When we first started working on the project, Ed Dumont and myself, who is my partner in the project, got together, and we decided that we wanted the monument to be something more than just an object to look at. We wanted it to be something that you could participate in and become a part of. And I said, well, maybe we can take a natural form of some kind and use that as an inspiration for designing it, as a help to us in designing the monument. And I thought, well, maybe we can find something in a seed pod. And I went out and collected a number of seed pods. My neighbor has a hibiscus plant in her backyard, and that was one of the seed pods that we collected. And this subsequently became the inspiration that we used in working out the design of the monument. Even the detailing of the monument reflects the seed pod in that the bottoms of each of the legs come to a point where they touch the ground, and the inner structure of the monument comes up from within and comes out and moves over at the top, just the way the calyx on the seed pod is shown. This seed pod created a shell or a space in which the figures, the sculpture figures, were placed. In addition to the shell itself, there were several other things that we wanted to draw into this so that the five senses could be part of experiencing this project. And the wind chimes up in the top of the monument are one of those things. And their flowering plants in the landscape design contribute to the sense of smell. And the sculptures are created in life-size figures and grouped under the shell in such a way that a person can walk in there and actually become a part of the sculpture when you're viewing it.
And there were rocks in the road. It wasn't all smooth sailing. The fundraising, of course, we had no conception of what we were going to get into with the fundraising. It was an enormous task. If we were to calculate the donation of construction management and the free labor, the entire monument would have come in approximately around $1.4 million. And the corporations and the foundations, they came across, but the labor organizations, the veterans organizations, the Gold Star Mothers. You know, our first fundraiser of all things was a bocce tournament out in Bloomfield. I think we raised a little over $900. Joe Pulgini had worked to put that together. And then we got into larger things, and well, even the smaller things come to mind. But Bob Stute, when he had 200 kids in Brentwood going out with collection cans, and just hit the entire borough that day. The luncheons over at the Allegheny Club, where we brought in all the veterans organizations, we brought in all the labor organizations, we brought in all the media, and so on.
It's difficult to pinpoint one particular event or part of the process that was the most difficult. Fundraising is an evolutionary kind of process. The fact that we were all novices at this, I mean, it certainly did not help us in knowing how to plan for something of this magnitude. Quite often we were faced with chicken or egg kind of decisions as to what segment of the community to go to first, or what piece we wanted, what piece of the pie we wanted to cut out first for fundraising purposes. But if I had to pinpoint one thing, I would say that it was getting the seed money that we needed to keep ourselves solvent at the beginning, and to establish our legitimacy as a group. When you go to people who have money, foundations and corporations, organizations, they want to know that what they're contributing to is something that is not a fly-by-night operation. So getting that first, $75,000, $100,000, so that we could show people, hey, we're serious about this, and your money is going to go to something that is viable, was probably the most difficult single part of it. The total amount that we raised was somewhat in excess of $760,000. We received very generous support from the city of Pittsburgh and from Allegheny County, and very generous support from the state legislature. But beyond governmental contributions, from the beginning, we wanted this to be a monument that belonged to the people of Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, and we put a lot of our efforts into raising money in small amounts from various community groups and community functions. We did not do a mailing because that is such a cost-intensive kind of operation. And we got excellent support from the foundations, the corporate and family foundations here in the city of Pittsburgh. They have a tradition of supporting the arts. They have a tradition of supporting viable, relevant civic endeavors like this, and the foundation people in Pittsburgh were very helpful, not only in providing us with money, but in providing us with guidance as to how we can better organize our fundraising. So this monument, the funding of this monument truly reflects, and it's very important to us that this be emphasized, a combined effort on the part of the entire Western Pennsylvania community.
Actually, it all started back in March of 1982 when a friend of mine and myself were operating a Vietnam Veterans Service Center here in Pittsburgh. As part of the criteria of the entire overall program that we had, what we did was we were urging the Vietnam veterans to file claims for Agent Orange and other claims for disabilities. Part of the criteria was to establish some kind of a monument or some type of memorial for local Vietnam veterans. From there, we sponsored a trip to Washington, D.C. on November of '82, the national dedication of the memorial down there. And to say that it was an emotional experience down there would be an understatement. We took 34 Gold Star mothers, and as most people know, Gold Star mothers are ladies who lost a son in the war. And every emotion that's imaginable was had gone through me and through the ladies and through all of us. It was just a terrific experience. When we come back to Pittsburgh, we decided we were going to really put all our efforts into establishing a monument, memorial type thing here in the city. And we come up with a small drawing of what we'd like to have. We proceeded to ask a lot of the city representatives for different places, various places that we could put this. We went to Councilman Dick Givens, who really liked the idea. And from there, he hooked us up with Joe Pulgini, who's the head of the Allegheny County Veterans Affairs. And from there, we started a committee with myself and some of the fellows from Vietnam Veterans Incorporated, Councilman Givens, Joe Pulgini, and it started mushrooming from there. It went to a full committee, and the rest is, I could say, is history. Being a member of one of the local oldies bands, Johnny Angel and the Halos, I come up with the idea to raise some money having an oldies concert in the city here. Since Pittsburgh is well known for its oldies, we have quite a few local oldies bands who are excellent. So what happened was I contacted Darlene Gifford from the Vietnam Veterans Leadership Program, and she agreed to help me put the concert together. Without her help, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, she was just fabulous. Well, what we did was we contacted Soldiers and Sailors Hall, the auditorium there, and so we used that for the concert. We contacted the bands, who I'll give you their names, but we contacted all the local bands, and all the bands were very excited about doing this. And incidentally, they donated their time, they donated their equipment, they donated their talents. It was great. The band that I play in, Johnny Angel and the Halos, we ran all the staging. We took care of all the different bands to make sure that they got on in time, got off in time, I can't thank the guys enough for what they did. We contacted Joyce Ellis, who is a local radio personality for WAMO, and she agreed to be our MC. Joyce donated her time, did it free of charge, and she did just an excellent job. Some of the other bands that were involved were The Memories. The Memories are a local band, an oldies band that everyone in Pittsburgh knows. The guys were great. Last Chance, that's another local oldies band who donated their time. The Fabulous Flashbacks from the North Hills area of Pittsburgh. Super Sport, which is an oldies band that plays at they're the house band for a local club, oldies, out in the South Hills. And the people just had a terrific time that night. The bands had a terrific time that night. We had a great time that night, and the show was just great. It was a success.
Now this concert, we're going to take you on a trip from the 50s to the 60s and to the early 70s. Are you ready to go on the trip with me? All right. And hey, if you know a tune that you like, don't be afraid to sing along. I'm not a singer, I'm a dancer, but believe me, I'm going to be singing a few tunes. Our first group this evening, they are from North Hills, PA. Wow, they brought their own audience. I love that. They are out of the toasty atmosphere of Jerigo's. Did I say that right? Jerigo's Lounge? Yeah. Located in Babcock Boulevard, North Hill, home of the oldies. And we present Pittsburgh's own, the Fabulous Flashbacks.
And we, the Fabulous Flashbacks, would like to do what is called the #1 Pittsburgh oldie of all time. We send it out to you great people. It goes like this. 3, 4.
We've got Mr. Gary Daly, one of our lead vocalists, who put this thing together from scratch. I think he deserves a round of applause, too. Mr. Gary Daly. And right now, Johnny Angel and the Halos would like to present a very special treat. The Groove Brothers, featuring Butchie and Wolfie Groove. Hit it. Come on, get those hands together. Here they come. Oh, they're looking good. Come on, Butchie.
We dedicated the monument on November 11th in the afternoon. That evening, I had to go out to speak to the Jewish war veterans. And the state head of the Jewish war veterans was in from Philadelphia, and they, of course, had dedicated their Vietnam monument the week before. And I remember him getting up to speak, and he said, you know, other cities may have had more heart, or excuse me, other cities may have had more hype. Pittsburgh had more heart. What was done in those last couple of days? You know, we walked in down at the Hilton Hotel for the big dinner, November 10th. And we sold tickets, and we expected a reasonable turnout. We sold out 3 ballrooms. I went in there, and I could barely see the back wall. I was intimidated by it, and I'm not easily intimidated. But the people that came forward, and in events such as that, you always have a certain percentage of no-shows. I bet there wasn't 20 empty seats at the Hilton that night.
Veterans and non-veterans alike found the evening's festivities both appetizing and entertaining. More than 2,000 people filling 3 ballrooms of the Pittsburgh Hilton Hotel enjoyed a fine meal and fellowship at this benefit dinner. Members of the Monument Committee, in addition to local politicians and dignitaries, were present to celebrate the completion of this new Vietnam Veterans Monument that was to be dedicated the following day.
I said, we didn't commit a crime. I said, the police can't tell us we have to take that.
You know, today there is, and perhaps there'll always be, conflict in the world. But the United States is fortunately at peace. We enjoy peace and freedom as the United States enters her 3rd century. Like other things of great value, this security did not come cheap. Part of the cost has already been paid by Americans who answered the call to military duty when their country needed them. They served in 9 wars from the Revolution to Vietnam, earning the distinction of veteran. During the Vietnam era, the number of enlistments per capita from Allegheny County were second only in the nation to Los Angeles County.
This program, I've listened to the compliments and the praises and the thank you, it's DJ this and the DJ that, and it's not. Because you lent me your hearts, and you lent me your spirit, and you lent me your tears. That's what kept me going for 4.5 years. I am what I am, and that's all what I am. Thank you very much.
One of the things that's real important to me, and I think is important to the veterans in a whole, is the concept of unity, of veterans coming together all throughout America and working together. And that's one of the things that I noticed about the Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Pittsburgh, is the fact that that did happen here and is happening, is that all the veterans from VFW, American Legion, Vietnam veterans have come together along with many of the members of the community to put together a beautiful, lasting memorial that will help so much in the healing process of our veterans. And I just think that that's really important, and I feel real honored to be here and to participate in some small way.
But often been asked, especially by the media, why wasn't this done 10 years ago, or why wasn't it done 12 years ago, or whatever. And it's my personal belief that the passage of time had to occur. John Q. Public had to take a different perspective. The veterans had to have that time of digestion, to think about themselves, to think about the war, and so on. And so many expressions have been used, the healing process, the welcome home. And incidentally, the theme Welcome Home that is now being used nationally originated with our committee here in Pittsburgh. And we are proud of that, and there's a certain pride of authorship. And of course, the song Welcome Home. And that's an interesting story in itself. In the early days when the committee got moving, I got a call from a guy in Greensburg. And he had heard about the Monument Committee and had written a song. And I said, wait, that's all we need at this point. And I really expected an amateurish version. And I'm a talker by nature, and I remember we were in a full committee up at the big conference room at the courthouse, and he brought in a tape. And incidentally, it wasn't even in its final stage, refinement. Suffice it to say, we were speechless. I mean, the song hit home. It said so much.
The idea for Welcome Home came in January of 1980. This was right after the Iranian crisis, the hostage crisis, and the newspapers had covered this daily. They had kept a running tally of how long these people had been held hostage. And when they were released, it was a time of just national rejoice. There were celebrations and parades and headlines and intensive coverage. And I remember watching this with a Vietnam veteran who said to me, when I came back from Vietnam, nobody even told me they were glad I was home. That thought stuck with me. It was probably about a year later that I wrote the song Welcome Home, and Chris heard it and put music to it.
It was just, it happened very quickly. The music to those words came quicker probably than any song I've ever written. And it wasn't long after that we got word of the Pittsburgh project, met up with some wonderful people. Spring we were in Pittsburgh, and in the fall we were in Washington, D.C. in '84 to dedicate the statue, and it's been a wonderful project.
The response from Vietnam veterans to the song has been good, but maybe what's more important is I think it has said what we didn't know how to say in the late 1960s and 1970s when people come back from Vietnam. I hope that it can somehow portray what I think most people feel for Vietnam veterans, and that's just welcome home. We're glad you're back.
The members of EVI were very active in donating a fair amount of time to the Welcome Home celebration and to the building of the monument. Many of our members served as members of the board of directors, such as myself, or as community coordinators for the Monument Committee. Other members helped have buttons printed up that said Welcome Home, such as this one here. This says Welcome Home, and with the map of Vietnam. And these were sold at the high schools and at the various offices around the county. And a fair amount of money was raised for the monument by the sale of these buttons. Other members sponsored spaghetti dinners at their VFW or American Legion post, and all the proceeds of that went to the Monument Committee. Other members, such as Steve Dennison, our vice president, were responsible for coordinating the parade route, getting the permits, and contacting the celebrities and the various armed forces branches for the flybys for the Monument Committee. Without their help, without the help of other members of the Monument Committee, there would have been no Welcome Home celebration.
Participants in this Welcome Home parade began gathering at Pittsburgh's Civic Arena early, ignoring the sub-zero temperatures. Many found time before their 2-mile journey through downtown to the Vietnam Monument site on the north side to share in conversation and a hot cup of coffee, and the chance to see perhaps an old friend, but more importantly, to march in this Veterans Day parade, the largest parade in Pittsburgh's history since VE Day during World War II.
Bryce, how'd you get you out of here? Hey, McLaughlin! Hey, McLaughlin! How'd you get him out of here? Kid!
Police estimates for this parade suggested that more than 65,000 spectators lined the parade route from Pittsburgh's Civic Arena downtown and across the Allegheny River to end at Three Rivers Stadium and the site of the Pittsburgh Allegheny County Vietnam Veterans Monument and the dedication and unveiling ceremonies. More than 5,000 veterans and others participated in this parade, representing numerous veterans organizations and marching bands from schools all across western Pennsylvania. So large was the parade that it took more than 2 hours to march through downtown Pittsburgh and reach the reviewing stand at the monument site. Vietnam veterans from as far away as Michigan were on hand to help their comrades in this Welcome Home celebration as the parade arrived at the Vietnam Veterans Monument site.
Pennsylvania. Reserve. Now the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 154 from Mount Clemens, Michigan. Welcome home, Michigan. Vietnam Era Veterans Employment Group, the VA Medical Center. VA Administration Group. Well, I'm over here. University Driver.
I hadn't heard from my son for a while, and on the 5th of March, he wrote a letter. He was on his way back from R&R, which I received on the 7th of March, stating that he was sorry he hadn't written to me. He had been on R&R, but he was on his way back to rejoin his company. But he couldn't write too much. He would write to me later when he got to his base. And that relieved me a little bit. I told my sister the next day, I got a letter. On the 7th, I hurried up and I told my sister, I got a letter from Kenny. He is fine. He was on R&R. And she said, oh, that's good. She says, At least we know he wasn't on the plane that was shot down on the 6th. Well, on the 8th, the very next day, I was called home from work. There were 2 Marines waiting for me to tell me that he was on that plane, and the plane was shot down 8 miles outside of Quezon with no survivors. The plane exploded in midair. So there were no bodies coming back, but they had a mass service out at Jefferson Barracks in Missouri, and I attended. I just felt as though I was a part of it. It lifted a big load off of my heart to know that I could be there and be a part of all of this and welcome the boys back that did come back, even though my own son was not coming. I had 2 other sons over there, and so they are a part too. Well, to the Gold Star mothers, it means our boys are here with us. It gives us a place that we can go and meditate when we're feeling down. And it makes us very proud to be able to show it off to other people, knowing that our boys are finally recognized. And it's a great feeling knowing you can say they're finally welcomed back. It makes us feel as though the boys are our boys too.
Of course, the Pittsburgh building trades. Words can't describe their contribution. Suffice it to say, we could have not completed it without the donation of the labor from the Pittsburgh building trades unions. And the rich stories that go along with it. I remember going over one evening in a pouring down rain. There's 2 stonemasons that had finished their normal day's work and went over there to work because they believed in what we were doing and wouldn't take a dime for it. I remember steam fitters union sending welders down and having internal problems because the people they wanted to send down, they couldn't send, and building tradesmen would say, we'd give up a day's pay just to be there. And of course, the compression in the last days of getting the statues done on time, and of course the granite work, and you know, our most valuable player without a doubt had to be Elio Ganano. We could have not completed it without Elio.
The call went out for volunteers to construct a monument for the Vietnam veterans. After the details were explained to us, I asked our membership to volunteer their services. It's not always easy to get members to work after hours because they do hard manual labor work during their regular working hours. I would say a period of 5 weeks that we were involved in the granite work, that a total of 40 different stonemasons and other members of our local participated in this project. The work was done willingly, and I would have to say we were under some expediency in the last part of the project because we were running out of time. I would have to say that the majority of the 40 or 50 men that we had participating in this project were some kind of veteran, either from the Vietnam War, Korean War, in fact, some that were in World War II, like myself. I was a member of the Navy. I served on an LST, picked up in Pittsburgh, took to the Pacific, and participated in Okinawa invasion. I had a special feeling about this project because I knew what it meant to the veterans. That's why they willingly participated with their efforts. From the beginning, this was a different type of a construction project. The men, in their conversations, acted differently, as if we were working in a hallowed place, that there was somebody watching us that weren't there physically, but were there in spirit. And I myself had that feeling because I'd lost a brother in the Second World War, and I lost a cousin in the Vietnam War. That was one of the reasons I wanted to have something to do with this monument. The membership always said that finally we did a volunteer project that meant something. And I had the same feeling when they dedicated this monument. If you have a patriotic bone in your body, you had to cry that day, and I had tears and I wasn't ashamed. Remember my relations and my friends that didn't come back from these wars. That finally we have a monument for the Vietnam veterans to remember what they did for this country.
And a friend from the first day was Commissioner Tom Forrester. Certainly Pete Flaherty and Barbara Hafer were very supportive, but Tom was always there. Anything we needed, any resources from the county, donation of materials, funds, whatever, they were all there. And the thing began to mushroom. And we had thought originally that we would go in and not fully understanding the magnitude of what we were doing, the volume of monies needed, the coordination, and so on. My wife and I attended a banquet for the Carpenters Union, and I sat up on a dais and ran into an old friend with Mellon Stewart. I had mentioned that we wanted to build a monument for the Vietnam veterans. That was on a Saturday evening. Monday, I get a call from one of the head honchos for Mellon Stewart. They're on board. Mellon Stewart probably donated over $100,000 in construction management. And we began to find, almost by accident, there's so many stories like this, the people that just stepped forward to help us.
He called Mellon Stewart because he had dealt with us often in his role with labor throughout in the community, city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. I immediately felt it was a worthwhile project and went to my then and still superior, Dave Figgins, who at the time was president of the company. He's now chairman of Mellon Stewart Company. We've had a strong, long history here in the north side and in the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. We've been located on the north side of Pittsburgh since 1917, so we're approaching 75 years involvement in this community. And although we're a national firm, we still stay pretty involved with the local community, and we receive a lot of support from that community. So given that this was what we thought a pretty worthwhile project, and myself being a Vietnam veteran, I volunteered my time and committed the company to whatever they needed within reason to get this project built. As in any undertaking, it involves a lot of people, and this certainly is an example of that. We've had the board, I think, reflects the varied involvement of the community. But there's a key ingredient anytime you're going to build something, and that's somebody that knows how to build. We at Mellon Stewart do, and I recognize that here was a project that unless somebody like ourselves, and there are certainly other people that could have done this, but unless somebody like ourselves got involved, the project would never come to fruition. So we felt there was a need, we felt it was worthwhile, and we were asked, so that's why we got involved. Our firm played the role of construction manager, general contractor, and general consultant for the construction of the Vietnam Memorial. The cost ended up coming in at about $330,000. That's to date, dollars expended, checks written. Actual cost would have been much greater than that had we not had many of the volunteers of the community that we did have. The local building trade supplied all the labor on a as-needed basis without any charge. There were many volunteers down there, long hours putting this thing together, tearing out the old concrete walls and building the new ones. Local subcontractors supplied labor and material. Local building suppliers supplied materials to the project, and Mellon Stewart Company supplied equipment. So the cost of this monument would have been at least double and maybe greater than that were it not done on a volunteer basis. This monument means a great deal to both the firm and myself on a personal level. To the firm, I think it demonstrates our firm commitment to this community and our willingness to, after having 75 years lived in this community, to give something back to the community. On a personal note, I think that more than anything, the Vietnam Monument means that at last the community has recognized the efforts of many 18 and 19-year-olds going overseas late in the 60s. I can remember the environment quite clearly at the time, and it was not a popular thing to do. Many of us were raised on a diet of John Wayne movies and felt that war was something that was fun or glorious, or for some reason or another we wanted to go. We went, And we came home and expected, I think, a heck of a lot more than we got. There was, rather than even a lack of recognition of something done for the good of the community or the country, there was a negative feeling about the Vietnam veteran. And I can remember coming back, going to Pitt, and immediately growing a beard and long hair just so you wouldn't be singled out as somebody that had been to Vietnam. The connotation was a very negative one, and you were looked upon as somebody that was kind of weird, and it was tough to get a date if you looked like you came back from Vietnam. So it's finally to me, a sense that the community recognizes that we did volunteer, we did something for the community, for the country, and that thanks for a job well done. We appreciate your efforts.
So many times, things just happened. There was a time we were very concerned with the fundraising. It wasn't going as well, and we had set our timetable, and became very much concerned. I get a call from State Representative Tom McLovick. He puts a bill into Harrisburg for $100,000 for the monument. And through the Casey administration, as it turned out, it didn't go through bill form, it went through the general budget. That was a shot in the arm we needed at the time. And then as things progressed, and then it's just characterized, it almost come out of nowhere. We could use a little shot in the arm. Mark Pollock calls me. I'd never even met Mark Pollock at the time. Pittsburgh City Council. He said, T, how you doing with the fundraising? I said, a little tight right now. Another $20,000 from the city. Another $20,000 after the $29,500. And then as we dedicated it, or the dinner, Commissioner Forrester come up, and knowing we still had a bill to satisfy, there was another $20,000 on top of the $35,000 from the county. You can brag, you can say, well, I worked so hard, and we did this, and we did that, and everything else, but so much of it just happened. And I have to speak about the Intergovernmental Cooperation Program, and I talk about Marshall Bond. There's 130 municipalities in Allegheny County, some large, some small. Do you know that over 40 municipalities had their own private fundraising for the monument? I'm talking about oldies dances, spaghetti dinners, kids going door to door. So while the fundraising was a collective effort by the unions, the veterans organizations, the corporations, and the foundations, collectively, it was the people of Western Pennsylvania who built it, not only with their dollars, but went over and physically built it, as I mentioned, with the Pittsburgh building trades unions over there. And then, and again, at the risk of sounding corny, then you can truly say it was built by the people of Western Pennsylvania and for the people of Western Pennsylvania. And that feels good.
About a year ago, T.J. McGarvey and some others from the Monument Fund came to the state and asked our assistance in trying to generate some funding to help them build this monument. Being a Vietnam veteran myself, I was anxious to help, and in fact, I am the only Vietnam veteran in our delegation, so I immediately accepted the lead on that project. We introduced legislation to basically give $100,000 to the Monument Fund, and but I knew that ultimately, if we got the money, it would have to be added in an amendment to the budget. I got the delegation to sign a combined letter supporting this move, and we submitted it to the leadership and to the administration, and it was ultimately approved that way. It took some time. There was some confusion over the actual granting of the check, and that was another problem a little later. I found out from TJ that they had not received the check by early fall, and it was absolutely necessary because the contractor needed the money. We then gathered our forces and went to work to urge the administration and the budget secretary to release the check, which was finally done, and just about in time to pay the contractor. I think the monument represents an expression of gratitude of the people of this region and for that portion that the state contributed to it, the people of the state, to the Vietnam veterans for the job that they did in under some very trying circumstances. The whole notion of the welcome home is different in a sense from most monuments. They are normally memorials, and this one's a monument, and it's a monument to the welcoming idea of the Vietnam veteran, because it was a long time before people did welcome the Vietnam veteran. And I think that all of us who were there and participated in the whole Vietnam era and had to come home, and many were mistreated and maltreated, I can now look to that monument and see that finally people recognize the entire episode for what it was. It wasn't a fault of the individual soldier or sailor or serviceman. It was this government's policy, and those individuals that went served well, and people were starting to recognize that, and I think it's long past the time. The Vietnam veteran monument dedication and the whole parade that day was a very moving experience for me. I came back, rushed back from Harrisburg that afternoon just in time, that morning, just in time to meet the organizers of the parade. And as it was bitterly cold that day, I recall. And as we marched through the streets of town, just watching the faces of many people, many whom I knew and who recognized me as we marched through, was a very heartwarming feeling. And I'm sure that it was the same for all of us that marched that day. And I was very proud and happy to participate in some small way to see this monument being erected. And it was quite a satisfying and moving day.
The mayor looked at this monument as a very necessary element in Pittsburgh. I think he believed for quite a while that the Vietnam veterans' return to Pittsburgh was not complete. The veterans organizations initially did not embrace the Vietnam veterans locally, and he was very in tune with that particular group and knew that there were difficulties. And what he basically felt was that this would be something that would give pride to all the Vietnam veterans and welcome them back into this community. I know for a fact that as he looked at the monument and as the theme was finally decided upon, he embraced the theme with open arms. He really believed that that spirit and message was essential to be communicated from this community. He had looked at the veterans for a number of years as a group that were very ill at ease in the community. He could see some of the problems and knew the continuing problems, and I think he felt very strongly that they needed something that would help bring them together. And in his desire to facilitate this project, he looked upon the design that was finally accepted as the perfect embodiment of a welcome home statement. His desires, I think, were fulfilled by the work of the committee. And to this point, I would say that he was extremely pleased on the day that he got a chance to give the dedication speech.
Some of my personal feelings: pride, accomplishment, sense of camaraderie, seeing guys that I haven't seen for a long time, seeing people look at the monument in so many different ways, seeing men cry when they saw it, being able to, going up and seeing guys and shaking hands with them, and them not even knowing who I was, but just to stand in the background and see what other people felt, and something that I had some participation with. It's very hard to describe, but I just had this sense of pride and sense of accomplishment towards the monument. It was the night before the dedication. It was at the dedication dinner that was held at the Hilton Hotel. And Bill Camerata, who is another one of the committee members, was standing up there, and he was introducing the members of the committee, the members of the Monument Committee. All through this whole thing, even when we were back in '82, when we started our organization and the whole thing came to light, one of the main things that we pushed was a positive image of the Vietnam veteran. And when everyone stood up after being introduced, the words he said, "Look at them, ladies and gentlemen, not a Rambo among them." And that was the most moving moment that I felt.
What the monument means to the members and myself is the recognition by the city of Pittsburgh and the citizens of the sacrifice that so many people have made, and the supreme sacrifice that those made who didn't come back. Allegheny County has the highest number of Vietnam veterans per capita than any county in the United States. And I think the monument itself shows the recognition of that fact by the people and the corporations of Allegheny County in western Pennsylvania.
To answer the specific question as to whether or not I would become involved in a monument, there's no question that I would. It's one of the most significant things that I have done. I mean, I have achieved, I think, success in my life, in my chosen profession, and I have done things and accomplished things, certainly, of significance other than this. But this is one of the most significant things for personal satisfaction that I have ever done. It was a tremendous amount of work. And there were times when I thought to myself, what did you get yourself into here? You've got a second job. But now that we're looking back in retrospect, and when I go over to that site with my family, with my friends, my mother recently came up from Florida, where she now lives, and came over there with me and saw it for the first time. And it was an experience that meant a great deal to me. Things like that make it very clear, there's no question that what I did was something that I would do again if I had that opportunity. There were so many moments, but I really believe that there was one particular event that took place that kind of encapsulated for me what this whole thing was about. After the dedication ceremony, and when the public was walking through the monument, viewing it, I was standing off to one side, welcoming people as they came through. And in that, I was the master of ceremonies for the dedication ceremony. People recognized me from being up on the podium. And a lot of people shook my hand and said nice things. But one man walked out of the crowd and came under the rope that we had as kind of a guiding rail for people to go through. And he come up to me and he said, and he was an average looking guy. He had on a suit and tie, graying hair, glasses, and it looked like a businessman. But he said to me, "I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I have never told anyone that before. And when I came home, the only people that knew were my family and close friends. And I just came home and I hid. I was ashamed of it," he said to me. He said, "I'm not ashamed anymore." And he said, "I will never be able to tell you what you did for me today." And he embraced me, turned around, walked back into the crowd, and that was the last I saw of him. And that to me, symbolized the welcome home that we were trying, that this monument is truly designed for.
My son was in the Battle of Hamburger Hill, and right after that they were in another battle. They were going across the rivers there, the little creeks, whatever they were. The whole platoon was walking across, and all of a sudden my son spied two of the enemy in the trees. He shot the one enemy, and then he shot the other enemy, but he did not know there was another enemy in the third tree. So this enemy shot him in the back and killed him, but he did save his whole platoon. He got the Silver Star posthumously. So that's about. And then his body was shipped home about 7 days later. Right after his cousin accompanied him, and when he went back to Vietnam, he also got killed. And he was buried, and that was about 6 months later. That was Leonard Kowicki. Leonard Richard Kowicki. So we had 2 funerals in about 6 months. And that's about it. I have a poem here that I would like to read. My son wanted me to read this nationally if I ever had a chance. In memory of Hamburger Hill. As I lie here among the trees, the smell of the dying is in the breeze. A soldier cried out, "Come to me, please." There was no need. He ceased to breathe. The wounded lay dying and the dead already gone. A sergeant yelled, "Get up, drive on." With a lead flying in from every way, I didn't expect to last the day. We fought hard trying to win, but at last we stopped as night set in. Digging deep was the word. To those who were left, it didn't seem absurd. They called our assault Hamburger Hill, a name well put. But will you remember it as I always will? Ask the lame. They can tell you it wasn't a game. You can't ask the dead, but remember their aim. Peace is golden and may be achieved. If men would learn to love, the burden of war would be relieved. This is a true story. It is no lie. Give credit to the dead. Because of the hill they died. That's Private Albert V. Coletto, Jr., 101st Airborne, 52nd Infantry. So now his wish is given. I had a lot of compassion for all these boys that come home. It was just like my son was right there with me. This makes us want to love all the Vietnam veterans that come home all the more. And we really want to take care of the ones that we can possibly help. I had one boy call me from Texas that was with my son when he was killed, and he's asking me how he can cope. And I told him that we cope by helping the Vietnam veterans in the hospitals and trying to show a lot of compassion for all the ones that we see every day and give them our love. We want them to know that we love them all. They're just like our own sons. And that's what that statue meant to me. To the Gold Star mothers, it's just like their sons returning. Of course, theirs aren't going to return, and they all have the same feeling that we do, that their sons want them to help other people. And that statue sort of draws you and brings a feeling in your heart that you just can't express it, because it's really, really something. It's just like the boys are here, they're here. And that's what that statue means to most of these Gold Star mothers. It's just like the presence of their own boys. They're all very compassionate, and they love the veterans. They love all the boys that come home, and that statue just wraps it up. It's for also the women that were killed. I mean, there's a lot of feeling for the women. It's not only the boys that were killed, it's the women also. And they have a lot of compassion for them.
somebody asked me, what's the monument going to be made out of? Is it going to be glass? Is it going to be brick? Is it going to be steel? And we talked that it's going to be made with bronze statues and granite and so on. But some of the other ingredients that made the monument, the blood and the sweat and the tears that were so much a part of Vietnam, were also a part of the construction of the monument. And some of the stories that come back to me and some of the thoughts, opening my mail one day and I opened it up and there was a check for $10 made out to the monument. A little note, and the woman says, "Dear Mr. McGarvey, I apologize that I can only send $10 to this worthwhile project, but you see, I'm a widow and I'm unemployed and I lost my son in Vietnam." You know, that type of interest, and there's peaks and valleys, and that's the kind of thing that will recharge you. Sure, the 20,000s and the 50,000s and 100,000s were nice, but with a $10 checks and a $5 check, and a check came in from California, of all places, for $50, and then the note along with it said, "This is the least I can do." And our monument, the way it feels, and again, I have to say it feels right. There's room for the tears, but there's also times when I'll be there and I'll think and I'll remember Sergeant Cass, my best friend, and I remember his nature and I remember his spirit and I remember his smile. And at this place, if that can do that for me, and it can do things for other people, and if they feel it's appropriate to have the tears, that's good and proper. If they feel it's appropriate to remember the warmth and the spirit and the nature of that friend or that son or that father or that brother, then that's appropriate too. And somebody at the dedication said it better than I could. They simply said, "T, it feels good." But I will say, and again, borrowing from the Latin a phrase from my religion, it says simply, "Dignum justum est." And the translation is, "It is right and just." And why did we do it, and why is it there every day? Because it's right and just.
Hey, New York! Hey, are we having fun yet? Yeah, goddamn right we are.
As the parade drew to an end, many of the Vietnam veterans took time out to reflect on this historic event. Of special significance to many of these vets were the POW MIA flags, each representing a state whose brave and valiant are to this day either missing in action or still being held as prisoners of war. More than 2,400 Americans are still unaccounted for in Southeast Asia. Spearheading the issue of the POW MIAs has been the National League of Families. Perhaps someday these POWs of the war in Southeast Asia may be able to share in a similar welcome home celebration as these 15,000 Vietnam veterans.
Welcome home. Well, briefly, immediately behind us is a monument, and it's a tribute to the Vietnam veterans, to all the veterans of Western Pennsylvania, and to the people of Western Pennsylvania, because it was built by the people of Western Pennsylvania, for the people of Western Pennsylvania. And let the skies and the heavens ring out the statement the people of Western Pennsylvania have made. As is appropriate at such ceremonies, I would ask you, for those veterans, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, peacetime veterans, as we fought for this flag, to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States directly behind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon.
Colors. Order.
I'm Bill Camerata, the Pittsburgh Allegheny County Vietnam Veterans Monument Committee. And it is my honor and privilege to welcome you on this special day, Veterans Day. It is both a solemn and a joyous occasion. We are here to remember and honor all who served, and especially those who sacrificed all. But we are also here to officially unveil and dedicate the Pittsburgh Allegheny County Vietnam Veterans Monument, the culmination of an idea and a dream that germinated in the hearts and minds of a small group of Pittsburgh Vietnam veterans almost 5 years ago. Today, that idea, that dream becomes a reality. Today, with the dedication of this monument, a long-awaited message will be shouted across the hills of Western Pennsylvania, and that message, long awaited by Vietnam vets, is welcome home.
Dear God, it is good that we are here on this day of great pride and great remembrance. Lord, today in our prayers, let us remember those who have fought in foreign wars and are not here with us today. Let us remember those who are still missing, POW, MIA. Let us remember those who have fought strongly for their country and have come home wounded in body, mind, or spirit. Let us remember today, Lord, those families who have lost or suffered because of war. But today, Lord, let us remember all veterans, especially today, Lord, with this monument of pride. Let us remember the veterans of Vietnam. And let us remember, Lord, for one reason, so that we never forget. Amen.
It was mentioned the most livable city, and I welcome home. I was going to say officially, but that's too cold. Warmly, our Vietnam veterans to this most livable city in all time. And that's what we have erected behind us today, a livable monument. Yes, to remind us of our comrades that have died for us here today. But it's all for all of you that are here with us that we owe such a debt of gratitude. And of course, for what you've done for the generation that's to come. So today is a day that we come together feeling good about each other, feeling good about the things that have happened and the things that will continue to happen in this great city and county of ours. And we can't say enough for each and every one of you, nor can Pittsburghers, who have poured their hearts out and have come forward to make this monument happen, because I don't think there's another city in this country today. Yes, they're parading, and God bless them for it. But there's not another city in this country today that's poured out what we've done in this city on behalf of our Vietnam veterans and all veterans. But again, to all of you, for all that you have done, this city today is not only more livable, but we're a little bit better because of you. Thank you so very much.
Before Commissioner Ford Force who speaks, please look up and you will see a flyover of 14 Hueys and Cobras. Thanks to the Pennsylvania Air National Guard, flown by Vietnam veterans.
Would be that if there were a job opportunity for every veteran in this country, if there were guaranteed health care benefits for every veteran in this country, and we're in need of those health care facilities, be they nursing homes or whatever, that those facilities will be in place. Let us not forget the great sacrifices each and every person has made in serving their country. God bless all of you. Welcome home.
Like many of you, I didn't know what lied ahead. I wasn't too sure that I wanted to go, but I went. And I think that the monument that we dedicate today represents that spirit and willingness to take a step into the future with determination and courage. Little did I know that I would be standing here today at a very moving time, a symbol of many of my colleagues of that war, and play a little role in erecting a monument to the spirit of those who fought and those who died there. On behalf of the governor and the Senate and the House of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I add my very strong and warm wishes. Welcome home. Thank you.
I'm glad that I got here before the ceremonies were ended. I heard the jets pass over, and let me just say, my heart is with you. My thanks is with you. And God bless all of you. What a perfect day. What a perfect beginning. Welcome home.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Richard Fallon and Mr. John Astosian. If they would both stand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Besides me is John Astosian. His brother is Navy Captain Michael Astosian, the recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. My own brother, Colonel Patrick Martin Fallon, United States Air Force, missing in action in Southeast Asia. My beloved brothers and sisters, it is indeed fitting and proper as we gather here this afternoon to pay homage to these brave men and women. Many of them have paid the ultimate sacrifice and now are in the hands of our eternal God. We can never forget for one moment there are still 2,411 men unaccounted for and missing in action in Southeast Asia. Certainly this is manifested by those flags which are in front of me, and the courageous people are here to pay them their fitting dignity. I would like to send this message on behalf of the American people and all people of a good conscience throughout the world to our men that are missing in action in Southeast Asia, many of whom are alive. Our beloved brothers who are bound by the shackles of tyranny, injustice, and oppression in Southeast Asia, we pledge the following in your names: that your call for help will not go unheard, that we shall appeal to the supreme pilot of the universe that justice be done, that we will do his work on earth and enlightening the peoples of the world of the inhumanitarian treatment that you have and are receiving. That as Americans and human beings, you're entitled to be treated with a God-given dignity that you possess. That every American, not just 2,411, is important to us. that we shall not rest until you, our brothers, are in our safety or in the eternal pilot's hands. That the beam of hope to guide you home will increase in intensity as each day passes. That above all, we ask Almighty God that the hardness of heart will be removed from your captors. That a reign of peace will descend upon mankind, and that all may be joined in the brotherhood of man. That until we meet again in the brotherhood of man, whether here on earth or in eternity, you shall be in our prayers, our thoughts, and our good works. Welcome home. Thank you, God.
George Stanhurst took metals from the ground in bronze, and he formed them and he shaped them, and he gave them heart. He gave them feeling. George couldn't share with us last night. George Stanhurst, stand up, please. So forgive me. If the emotion rules, no, don't forgive me. Because the emotion will rule my words, because now I talk to the Vietnam veteran. Amen. Yeah. Right behind me, brothers, is a piece of ground we will not walk away from. Right behind me is a piece of ground that is a safe LZ for the Vietnam veteran and their families. No more Dee Mao. And we say welcome home to proud men and women. We begin now to fulfill promises. Remember the past and look to the future. We begin now to complete the final process. Not to make political statements, not to offer explanations, not to debate realities. Monuments are erected so that the future might remember the past. Warriors died, lived, and died. Let the historians answer the political questions. Those who served, served. Those who gave all live in our hearts. Those who are left continue to give. As long as we remember, there's still some love left. Would you unveil the statues, please? is a piece of ground we will not walk away from. No more, Didi Mao!